Yo, what's up, guys? Terrell here. I know I've gotten a lot of comments relating to my Insane Game Freak channel or this channel, talking about I should, where my One Piece stuff at. On the Game Addict channel, I was really known for my One Piece videos, mainly because I was like the first One Piece fanboy, and now I am just a diamond among, no, not really a diamond. I'm just a small man in the sea of many, many, many fans. Some of them for some reason, some of them for other reasons. But that's besides the point. I figured, this is second channel, and I can throw it whenever I want. So I would prefer to put my One Piece videos on here when I have something I want to talk about. And, I'm not going to sit here and bore the shit out of you and say something stupid like, what if I give a stupid what if scenario because I find those really, really dumb. Like, what if Zoro had hockey? Or what if Zoro has Gios in his eye? Like that's just fucking stupid. So, I'm actually going to come up here with an actual topic and something I started thinking of when I read manga chapter 636. Because currently, today is Wednesday. So, I want to talk about Chopper's transformations. And you're probably wondering, why in the fuck do you want to talk about Chopper's transformations? Because there's something he said in this chapter that bugged the fuck out of me. Now, for the first thing I want to cover is, Chopper has, for the most part, some of his transformations have been shafted. This is another fault Oda I've realized based off this chapter. Oda shafts Chopper a lot in terms of his transformations. As a character, he kind of shafts him too, but mainly in those fucking transformations. But anyways, in this particular chapter, we get to see his new horn point, which to me I really like. Actually, I like it. I like his whole form. Like, that is a cool. If that was a figure, I would buy that because that is a cool looking fucking transformation. It's like, I'm trying to think. That's like my favorite so far. My favorite, my second favorite compared to Arm Point. That's besides the point. In this particular in the chapter, he mentions that he has 7 transformations. He can turn into 6 of them at will, and he only needs 1 Rumble Ball for 1 of his transformations. This is where the problem and the paradox begin, and let me explain. Chopper says he has 7 transformations. I'm assuming he's not counting Monster Point. And let me explain, because pre-time skip Chopper, what did he have? Brain, walking, heavy, guard, jump, arm point, and horn point. And horn point, for people who want to know, we've only seen that move once. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we've only seen horn point once before time skip. You know what that one point we saw horn point was at? When he and Usopp fought Merry Christmas and Mr. Four. Horn point is one of the most underused, it's probably the most underused transformation for Chopper. He only has used it once in the entire fucking series. So I was happy, going into the chapter real quick, I was happy that he finally brought that thing back and made it more useful. Because, up until this point, Horn Point was only used for what? Nothing. It's used kind of, we've seen it being used as a slingshot, and he can carry people with it. So I'm actually glad that Horn Point is also being used as a digging mechanism now. So that's cool, but that's a good game besides the point. He has 7 transformations, not counting Monster. But if you count Monster, he has 8. Okay. And you're probably thinking, well, that just means he's probably not counting Monster Point again. Then he has 7 transformations. But let's think about the transformations we've seen after the time skip. Well, the shadow kind of shows the other ones that we haven't seen. In the little shadow picture they show of him talking about the transformations, you see, obviously he's in his horn point mode right now. We know he has brain point and fucking walking point and kung fu point. We also saw guard point in there, so we know he still has that. But here's the problem. What points have we not seen yet? We haven't seen heavy, we haven't seen jumping, we haven't seen arm point, and we haven't seen monster point. You notice I have 9 fingers up. What the fuck? And here's my theory. I think heavy point might be kung fu point. This is the problem I'm going to have with this for a little while, because it doesn't make any sense. He supposedly has 7 transformations, and we've seen 5 of them. We've seen kung fu, brain, walking. Kung fu, brain, walking, horn, and we know he has guard point because they show it in the shadow. But we haven't seen jumping, arm point, or monster point, and heavy point. I'm not seeing like it's not. This is what I'm thinking. This is my theory. Is that not that shit got traded out, but certain points turned into other points depending on the training. Honestly, me personally, I want to see. I kind of wanted to see the little flashback for Chopper for when he learned Kung Fu Point because I like the flashback with Sanji and the whole skywalking thing. Usopp's was kind of obvious. You know, I like the minor flashbacks we got to see for certain things. I mean, we got the little flashback for Brook when we saw him do like the ghost form of himself. So me personally, I would have preferred to see like the flashback for Kung Fu because I think Kung Fu is heavy. I think Kung Fu is heavy when he trained with Kung Fu. I mean, when he trained with, I don't even know how the fuck he learned Kung Fu is my question. Like, why is that specifically Kung Fu Point? Like that one looks the weirdest, but that's the one that only makes more sense. Or else either this is my thing. Either Oda lied when he had Chopper say that, or Heavy Point is Kung Fu Point. But even still, we still have the other points because we haven't seen a variation of jumping, and we haven't seen the variation of arm point yet. Nor have we seen Monster Point. He's saying one of those 7 he has to use the ball for. We're kind of thinking the one he has to use the ball for, this is my guess, is that it's probably Monster Point. And if it is Monster Point, that means he's counting Monster Point in one of the 7, which means there's only one space left, which means either Jumping Point has been replaced with something, or Arm Point has been replaced. Or this is my guess. This is my personal guess. If we take the logic that the Heavy Point is now Kung Fu Point, as in he trained so much with Heavy, it turned into Kung Fu, I'm betting Monster Point is a combination of Arm Point and Monster Point. Which means he'll have control over it, but he still needs to eat the Rumble Ball for it. Because, I mean, if we think about it, technically... Wow, I am, like, skipping a lot here. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It may be because I just dropped the camera, but whatever. Chopper... The thing is, he's always said he's had 7 transformations. And he does have 7 transformations. Which means he never counted Monster Point. But he's aware he had Monster Point. So it could be that logic, but even still it doesn't make any sense. Because then you have... I'm thinking, my bet is that I would be shocked if Arm Point was the one he still had to eat the ball for. Now, I'm actually glad he doesn't have to eat the rubber ball as much, because honestly, he was one of those characters that had to take something to become badass. Kind of like how in Bleach, where Ichigo had to eat the little soul candy in order to, become a Soul Reaper and become badass, which is kind of bullshit. I mean, the reason why we didn't really mind with Chopper, no one bitched about it with Chopper, was because Chopper, even with the Rumble Ball, isn't necessarily that much stronger. He's still fairly... He's around... I would say he's probably the 4th strongest at that point. I think I would have been at, like, Frankie's level in terms of brute strength, which Frankie's, like, 4th. Because it's like Luffy... It's like Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and then I probably put Frankie and Chopper around the same level. And Brook is probably right after that. So... I'm thinking, I think that was, so I am happy about that, but that's my whole thing. Do you think he's still going to have Heavy? I mean, obviously he has 2 more transformations, which means he's either just said fuck one of his transformations. And I'm betting he said fuck Jump Point. Because Jump Point was one of those ones he barely used. It was another one he barely used. Besides, in the pre-time skip, we've only seen that move twice. What? Yeah, twice. We've only seen that move twice. We've only seen that move during his... No, we've seen the move 3 times. We've seen it in his fight with Kumadori. We saw it in his fight with Gedatsu. And we saw it in his fight with Chesamaru. Yeah, Chesamaru. I forgot to pronounce his name, but Chesamaru or some shit. And I'm thinking he either did that or Arm Point and Monster Point are the same point now, and we just have a variation of Jump and Heavy. Which means he still got rid of one of them. So all we would have left is Jump. Because that's all we had. We had, like, the points we haven't seen is Heavy, Jump, and Arm Point. And Monster Point. But if Monster Point and Arm Point are the same, and Heavy Point is indeed Kung Fu Point, the Jump Point, all we're going to have left is a variation of Jump Point and, Arm Point mixed with Monster Chopper. And that's if he's doing it that way. If he still has it, and that's what also brings up another question: can Devil Fruit users get rid of abilities or turn them into something else? I mean, from what we keep hearing, Luffy. I mean, from that little poster, Luffy says cuts like a knife, which implies that he can slice things now, which we have yet to see, which I'm betting is gonna come later. But that's besides the point. Like, do you think Devil Fruit users can switch abilities? Like, can take out certain abilities they get or turn them into something? I think because if Chopper really did turn Heavy Point into Kung Fu, I really want to know the backstory behind it. Like, I hope that's filler at some point because I'm curious, how the fuck is that Kung Fu? I mean, we've seen the damn thing. The damn thing, he legitimately does look like a raccoon dog. How is it that that big ass monstrosity is his fighting form, Kung Fu and shit? I don't know. That's just me, but it's weird. I'm kind of dragging that out though. But that's my whole thing. Is that is Heavy Point Kung Fu Point, and can you combine certain abilities or what? Because he's still. I mean, that's the only thing out of the 4 points he has. Out of the 4 other points we have yet to see, Heavy Point is the closest that relates to Kung Fu because it can't be Arm Point because Arm Point was like heavy bound muscle shit. But then again, I'm kind of wondering what the fuck Arm Point's gonna look like now if it isn't. Or maybe Oda just said fuck certain abilities, which now brings up the question: can Devil Fruit users like just say fuck certain abilities? Which wouldn't make sense on a logical standpoint, just because it's something you learned and you could still use it. So I'm thinking Heavy Point turned into Kung Fu, but I don't know if you can mix 2 different points, which I think he may have done that. But I don't know. It's very confusing to me. It's very confusing, and I'm very curious about it, and I'm not sure what to make of it. So if anyone wants to throw out their ideas or comments on it, you feel free to. This is something that's just been bugging the crap out of me because I'm not totally sure what the fuck he's going with this and what the fuck he means. Like, if he's still not counting Monster, we're still missing 3 fucking points. But then again, you can't, like, what, I mean, okay, fine. Horn Point, you know, I was shocked that they turned Horn Point into a digging, but it's not that shocking if you think about it, considering there was nothing else you could do. What the fuck are you going to do with Jump Point? The only thing that would change from him is that maybe Jump Point is the only point he can actually use the same technique as Sanji, which at that point it would be like, what the fuck? Because why would you have a character, why would you have 2 characters that know almost the exact damn move? None of these characters are alike, so there's no way in hell. So he may have just scrapped Jump Point. And if he did that, oh the fuck well. I mean, it's Jump Point. He barely used this shit for just dodging, really. He never used that thing to set up attacks. And Heavy Point was just like his 3rd strongest. So if Heavy Point is Kung Fu, it would make the most sense. Because Heavy Point was his 3rd strongest, you know, his 3rd strongest. I mean, it was Monster Point, Arm Point, then Heavy Point. Because Horn Point never actually was used as like blatant attacks. It was used usually, we've only seen it once, and it was used as a fucking slingshot. And even here, it's not used as kinda. It's used almost the same way it was used back then during the fight. It's used like to flip enemies because it's fucking huge horns. But that's just I'm just curious about that because I'm not totally sure where he's going. Like, is that just a fuck up on Oda, or if what? Because I'm not 100% sure. But that's just something in my opinion. But anyways, this has been the Vlogs Again from your boy Terrell. Post your comments in the comment section. I'm actually really curious about this. I might put this on Raft Tail forums and see if the One Piece podcast guys look at this. But anyways, this has been the Vlogs Again from your boy Terrell, and I'll catch you guys later. Thoughts in the comment section below. Peace.